Hello and welcome back to DJCamel Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing Luther the Fallen Sun, and that stars Idris Elba, and it's based on, it's not anything about Martin Luther King, and it's certainly not about the German medieval or early modern religious monk person. I don't know. I mean, I am a history student and I should know, but there is a 2003 film about the because there's like the Lutheranism movement, something like that. But that's not what this film is about. This is not an adaptation, but a sequel, sort of a soft reboot, as you might call it, to the BBC TV series, which stars Idris Elba as a detective who sort of begins as I don't play by the rules sort of detective, and it's much darker than Sherlock, much darker than Death in Paradise or something like that. It gets really grim, and this film gets even grimmer to its detriment. But I mean, John Luther, Idris Elba, of course, this is the role that made a lot of people say he should be James Bond. He doesn't need to be James Bond because John Luther is an absolutely fantastic character, and he is the best part, along with Andy Serkis as the villain, who's like a serial killer and vague kind of plot about privacy and the internet and controlling people's stuff. I mean, the plot of this is kind of dumb and a bit outdated, to be honest. But the film is fine if you like Luther. I think if you, the TV show, if you haven't watched the TV show, I don't really think you need to watch this. But if you want to, don't do that. Just watch the TV show instead, because it's not that long. And I've been watching it in preparation for this film, because I wanted to watch it because, Idris Elba, he's cool, and it's easy to watch. It's on Netflix. But yeah, don't really rush out to see this, or rush, to the living room where you've got the remote and, you're on your smart TV. Andy Serkis plays David Roby, and Andy Serkis is a fantastic actor. I was a bit disappointed almost when he was cast as Alfred in the Batman, the new Batman trilogy. He's going to be Alfred in that, and he was good in the first film, but he's such a perfect person to play a villain. So, having him as Alfred, that's not really good. He could have been a great penguin or something like that. And he's okay in this. The character doesn't really work because, as I said, the plot's, it's just a bit vague, and he's just a bit too evil, and I don't really know whether there's a very good backstory to it. But he chews the scenery. Of course, one of the main things about having a film as opposed to a TV show is that there's a bigger budget. There's a really fantastic 10-minute sort of sequence in the middle, filmed in Piccadilly Circus, and there's a huge crowd scene, and then they go into the London Underground, a bit like the scene in Skyfall, or any of the fantastic scenes that take place in trains. I mean, I know that Scream 6 at the moment has a big scene on the New York Metro, I believe, and maybe I'll go watch it for that reason alone. Train scenes are always brilliant, and that's the best scene in the film, I would say. So some good performances by a very good cast. I think the finale they just go off to Norway, or apparently it might be Estonia, because they are quite close together, although that's Finland. So I think Wikipedia was just wrong saying it was Estonia. It is in Norway, and it's very dark. It's very grim. The music is by one of my favourite composers, and there's a fantastic track which incorporates the theme song to the TV show, which is actually a song, Paradise Circus by Massive Attack, which is a really great song, and Lorne Balfe made a version of it for the soundtrack album of this film. It's not in the film though. Also, another weird thing was that it's supposed to be called Luther the Fallen Sun, but when the titles come up at the very start, it just says it's Luther. So I thought, well, maybe I am watching that film from 2003 about the religious guy, and maybe that film would be more interesting. I mean, I kind of enjoyed it because, of course, it is a bigger adaptation of a show I already like, but it's not as good as especially the first season. Pretty much everything after the first season of Luther's a bit of a downgrade, but Idris Elba, Andy Serkis, they're good in it. So if you really like those actors, maybe you really like the show, maybe give it a watch, but otherwise it's really not worth watching. Maybe I'll give it a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It was very disappointing, really. I expected more from it, and I mean, John Luther, Idris Elba, even see they're just one and the same. He's been going on in interviews that he wants this to become a Bond-esque franchise with more big budgets and sequels, and make it his role. He's not going to be James Bond. He's too old. Maybe he can do lots of John Luther films, and I don't really think that that's a good thing. I think that's not something Netflix should pursue with all their money. They should do literally anything else. So I hope you enjoyed the review. I didn't really enjoy the film, and I'll see you again very soon.